we looked at what competencies are. Then we identified that there are also personal competencies and job competencies. Then we looked at, hey, then how do I actually derive competencies for the roles or positions, right? Which is called what? Competency mapping. Then we said, hey, then if these are the competencies, then if I want to actually find out how does the behavior look like, so we also looked at behavioral indicators, which are actually observable. So the behavior gives us the evidence for the presence or absence of a particular competency. Am I right or wrong?
True.
Behavior gives you the evidence. Just by saying Soumya is a result-oriented person, that's a competency. Okay, but what is the evidence I have to say that she is a result oriented person? It is her behavior, right? So we also looked at assessment centers, tools, and techniques wherein we simulated and say, how can we actually look at behaviors? How these activities actually then focus on certain behaviors where we can elicit the behavior and then say that draw parallels between the behavior and the competency. Today, what we are actually looking at is that if I want to select or hire a person, what are the key competencies for that role? And then what are those behaviors? So how will I actually then, what are those questions? How will I probe? So what is the evidence I will gather to ensure that this person has those right skills and competencies? Okay. So that is what we are going to learn. The key technique is, how do I actually ask questions? How do I do a behavioral event interview? And today, that is the currency to hire a candidate. Because as you know, hiring recruitment is such a costly affair that if you are not hiring the right candidate, you can actually go into what? Incur huge costs. If he leaves, 3 times the cost. If he stays on, production, in terms of underperformance, which will again eat into your costs. So let us actually understand today, how are we going to hire the best candidate, all right? The right fit, the person who can perform. Quickly, you are going to be in the same room, guys. How many of you are here today? You have work to do. How many are we? I want to see.
4 of them are there. Kaushal, Nishant, Paul,
Okay, great.
Soumya.
We'll do this 4 of us. Okay. Who is the senior most person?
You.
Who is the senior most person?
You, man.
Kaushal. So Kaushal is going to interview.
No, I told you. I told you.
Who is the junior most?
Me.
Kaushal, Soumya,
Paul. Let
and who
Paul
else?
take the lead.
Nishant. Nishant. Okay. Nishant will be the observer, and Nishant also is an interviewer. Two interviewers, and Soumya is the candidate, and Paul is the observer. Okay. I'm not giving you any instructions, but just watch out. I'm going to give you very few instructions. All right. Now, the instructions are that KK, who is the head of head HR, he has to recruit a person for what? Campus recruitment executive post. Okay. For which post are you recruiting? I gave a position which is very, very familiar to you. Campus recruitment executive. All right. Now, I'll give you everything in detail so that you can. These are the responsibilities of this campus recruitment executive. Very easy. To plan, coordinate, and execute campus recruitment for attracting talent at entry level. This is what the person does. Partnering with hiring managers to forecast campus hiring. You can take a picture of this, all of you, so that then builds relationship with target colleges and universities. organizes and participates in campus hiring, screens, interviews, and evaluates student candidates, coordinates assessment processes, and manages candidates' communication, ensures a positive candidate experience. This is the JD, KK. And also, Soumya, please look at it. Key skills and strong attributes: strong communication and interpersonal skills, ability to build rapport with students and college placement officers, event planning abilities, basic data analysis for recruitment tracking, familiarity with application tracking system. Will you agree that these are the things, KK, which a typical campus recruiter has to do? Okay. And
Yes, Soumya.
Soumya, who's select screened also, he's coming for the interview. Now you have to interview him. I'm not giving you any kind of a brief. You have to interview him. Now, uh, the observer, Paul, somebody will anyway record it. You have to just write the questions which KK is asking. Okay, you can also do little recording because it's very important. Write down all the questions and just see afterwards if they are, inconsistency, and just see if this is the JDE, what is being assessed. I'll also make a note because Nishant is busy. Okay. So this is what it is. I'm not saying anything beyond it. And KK also knows what is he being observed for now. Okay. Done.
Yes,
So, yeah. So, hey, Soumya, how are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Great. So, we want to spend time on the introduction, other things,
Yeah,
as ma'am said.
yeah,
So, Soumya,
yeah.
can you just give us a brief introduction about you, a little bit about your family background and about your profile, please?
Okay. I'm from Varanasi. Okay. I did my MBA from Udaipur University. Then after I joined a company in mining, then I moved in oil and gas company where I am handling the recruitment for entire organization. We are having so many plants and offices in all over India. That's why I am engaged, full-time engagement in recruitment. I engage on campus as well as the through a portal also. I am hiring for junior position to leadership position. Yeah.
Great to know, Soumya. Okay. Could you help me understand as to what sort of campuses you have done in terms of volume, in terms of demographies, and for
Mhm.
which organization? Because I understand you are having a very good exposure of campus hiring. That will be really helpful for me to understand your profile in a better way.
Yeah. Sir, I have handled the recruitment for GT as well as for management trainees. We are used to go the engineering college, tier one colleges as well as the management college, tier one colleges. Our average intake is about 100 GETs in a year and around 25 MTs per year. We are usually go through the campus recruitment in well in time. We will start our activities in December, since most of the institutes give the day one slot for us. Uh, since our corporate branding is very good and we are regular hiring, that's why we got a very good opportunity and very good stuff from GTs from engineering college as well as the management college.
Oh, fantastic.
Uh,
Good to know.
yeah, we are doing this in recruitment process. There are three steps. One, the first we are shortlisting based on the numbers in percentage marks. Then the written interview, then a group discussion, and a final interview with our leadership team.
Very good. Fantastic. So, Soumya, could you help
Yeah,
me understand? Because I understand recruitment is a very hectic job, very challenging assignment.
yeah.
Can you help me understand some key challenges you might have faced during your tenure, or something you would like to mention here,
Mm-hmm.
especially in terms of handling lots of data, lots of pressure, result
Yeah.
orientation?
There
Can you
is
help
some.
me? Can you share a few examples?
Yeah, we can. In the most challenging things is that to identify the culturally fit candidates. Since in our nation the attrition rate is of GT is very high, therefore we are having a very uh, challenging job to retain them. Since it is a part of engagement, therefore they are handling the same. But our challenge is how to identify the best culturally fit candidate. We are shortlisting the candidates based on the not only the marks but also their family background, residentials, where to belongingness, language. We are trying to identify those candidates who are very near to our job location, work location. Therefore, we can predict the retention may be higher. That is the main challenge. So, for this, we are using some analytical tools to analyze their uh, behavior, or we can say percentage, how we can increase the retention percentage. This is the main challenge during our recruitment. Since we are well known that the GTs, MTs are very fresh, therefore we have to groom, we have to invest time and resources on them. Therefore, we are more concerned about their attributes, behavior, and these things. Yes, please.
Yes, Kaushal, over.
I think time
So
doesn't
have you
permit now.
yeah. So have you decided to take him? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Kaushal.
sir.
And thank you, Soumya, for also volunteering to be the candidate. And I must say you are very supportive enough to go through the entire interviewing as well. Thank you to both of you. All right.
Thank
Okay.
you.
First of all, let me actually look at what Paul has to say as an observer. Okay. As an observer, what does he have to say? What has he taken? Okay. First say the
Okay,
nice
so
things. First say the nice things.
no. There's only nice things to say anyway. So it was a very friendly, open conversation. A lot of good questions, mostly about asking about basically about his actually the candidates' experiences. First, the empathy part about a brief about a little bit about yourself and your family and your experiences, and then after that to really find out a little bit more about whether this person is actually relevant to the what can we say, to the job scope itself, which was asking about what campuses, the volume have you recruited for, right? And demographics and the organizations. And of course, after getting that background, as in the volume of that, then went into challenges and specific examples that uh, the candidate might or might not have. So basically, what he wanted to know was first, um, building the relationship definitely was there, and then of course to find out about the linkage, whether they are relevant to the opening or not, and of course asking some well, we can say behavioral questions about the job and challenges. So well done, good
Okay.
job.
Great. Okay, Paul. All right. So, KK, will you take this person confidently and say, yes, I'm going to hire this person?
Yes.
Huh?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So let me, so typically just understand that typically when I'm doing an interview, this was just a tradition. So these are the kind of interviews which were being taken typically, you know, A, no preparation. I didn't give you any time for preparation. So you didn't know what to ask. I did not give you his CV as well. So, okay. Now, B, what are the kind of key competencies does this job require? You don't have a template. What are the behavioral indicators for this key competency? And what are the threshold and what is the differentiating? Or at least where do I, the minimum and the maximum if I were to take? So you you are not able to analytically look at the entire thing. But the best part was you had open-ended questions. You had actually made him comfortable, asked him a lot about his education, experience, etc. But do you think you were confident to hire him? Were the skills and competencies clearly assessed? No, not really. Okay. And like when you asked him multiple questions in one question, pressure, challenges, this, which one will I answer? But what if you were actually planned? If you had a set of questions, these questions will actually assess these skills and competencies. Even if it was not Kaushal, if it's deputy, he will ask the same thing. There'll be consistency in what is being asked and how they are being assessed. Then what will happen? The predictability of this interview hiring will be higher. Here, it is like yes or no. I might get a good guy, I might not get a good guy. It is like one taking a chance. Okay. So, therefore, since recruitment hiring is a very important aspect or function in an organization, so what if we were to have an interview skill like a behavioral event interviewing or a competency based interviewing which has high predictability like 55% as opposed to interview which is only 10%, then what will happen? Our performance will improve, our productivity will improve. So let us actually look at, hey, what is this behavioral event interviewing and how do we go about? What is at the core of it? Okay. So when we talk about behavioral event interviewing, which is, many times, a lot of people think, oh my God, what is this interview? I think it's very, very important. You can actually, because you have to get practice. Repeat, 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 and you will get into that. It is actually assessing. If a person has done something in the past, then there is a higher chance of doing the same thing in the future. If a person has not done in the past, then there are less chances of him doing future. That is the basis. So McClellan said, past behavior predicts future behavior. This is the principle of behavior event interview. What does it say? Past behavior predicts future behavior. If Kaushik has been consistently doing, high employee engagement in his organization, what will happen? Obviously, there will be a lot of huge impact on productivity, etc. He would have had challenges. So, if I have to hire for him as a head of employee engagement, then I will ask him, in a systematic way, and he will tell me certain critical situations where he had done the behaviors, the skills, the competencies will all reflect the evidence of he having these competencies at a higher level. And I'll say, hey, he's a big good catch. I should take him. So I will be able to say convincingly that I can hire this guy because because I like him, subjectivity is from my own state, he talks my own language. No, based on whatever evidence I see. Many times interviewers don't gather systematic evidence of what is required. So first of all, what is important? If I'm hiring, I need to understand, hey, this job, what competencies are required? Very important, no? Many will say, but ma'am, in my organization, we have not done competency mapping. It's okay. But you take the initiative, a proactive role. If you have to hire a person, at least find out the job description, find out what key competencies are required, and then do a competency based on the behavioral event doing. At least you are able to predict behavior better, right? Rather than just doing a magic wand touching. Okay, I'll take him. I won't take him. I'll take him. Random sampling. No? So what is behavioral based interviewing? It is based on the theory that past behavior predicts future behavior. Now you may say, but what, ma'am? Past behavior predicts future behavior. He must have done once. No. That means that behavior has to be, what I said, consistent. That's why in that Fire instrument also, the behavior has to be consistent. Generally, am I a person who's an angry person? I may lose anger Maybe once in a way, but then you can't tell me I'm an angry person. But consistently, I come to the office, shout at everybody. Every day I do that. That means I'm an angry person, right? So when you are showing that behavior, consistent behavior, that past behavior will predict your future behavior. Okay. But how will you do it? So, what is the first step? You need your competencies in place. Now, will you use all competencies? Now, say for example, Soumya, I'm sorry, I don't know in which position. Say for example, an HRPP, a laundry list of 10 competencies, 15 competencies. Will I assess all of them? Just tell me, will I
No,
assess all of them? 80-20 principle. There are,
no.
see, you know 80-20 principle?
Yeah,
What is that 80-20 principle? Yeah,
yeah.
80% of the work is done, but
Mhm.
it's a Pareto principle which is
Apparently.
applicable everywhere, right? So it's
Mhm.
applicable here also. In that list of 10 nice to have competencies, there will be 4 or 5 practical competencies. Say, for example, for a recruiter, what will you say? What competency will you say is very critical? 1 or 2 competencies which are very critical, going by the nature of his job. Planning and organizing. If that guy doesn't plan and organize, every day he will be in stress. He'll make a mess of everything. No, very important for him to plan and organize. Can you give one more?
Interpersonal issues.
Pardon?
Interpersonal.
Absolutely interpersonal. Why? Campus
To interact.
people, placement people, his own other corporate people, his own. So they have multiple stakeholders. Interpersonal communication is very important. But say, for example, this guy has high expressed control. Huh?
Hmm.
So what will it be? All the time, I know the best. I'm doing things I have to.
True.
So there are also certain scores which are good for certain roles. So when you know your score, then you are able to work on yourself. Okay. Now, so it starts. So behavioral event interview is a dialogue that elicit detailed behavioral description of how a person is doing his job. Now you may say, but do we have the time, ma'am? Yes. Let me tell you, when you are interviewing, especially through this structured process of BEI, it will take 2 to 3 hours. You can't rush him. You can't say, okay, fine. I have to go for a meeting. There's an urgent call. No, you have to take time. You have to make him comfortable. You have to keep a nice circular table or so that he feels trusted. And if you want the right kind of people, so obviously you have to establish all that rapport and then give that 2 to 3 hour step. Why? Because you don't want to know when you come to office, what do you do and how do you do and what happened. No, you want to elicit information about critical incidents. We talked about critical incidents a lot, right? What are these critical incidents? Critical incidents. Can you define anybody? Because I'm not very sure. I may be understanding, but I also want you to understand what is a critical incident. Okay? What is a critical incident? You will be doing many tasks, but there will be certain situations, maybe not every day, but there are where they are very significant. It has huge impact, maybe on productivity, maybe on attrition, maybe some critical situations wherein what was the situation? How did you go about it? The STAR method we talk about. What was the task to do? What did the action? What was the result? Now, when Kaushik asked in this traditional interview, was there any critical situation he talked about? So, first of all, we have to be clear about what competence is. Then, for every competency, have I asked 2, 3 critical incidents? How did he behave? Because the more you elicit information about him for these competencies, the more you will know how did he demonstrate, how did he act, what did he do in the past that I can actually confidently say, yes, this guy can do. For example, campus recruitment, there'll be a lot of pressure. Like you asked that question, tell me about a time, when there was a huge pressure, deadline. How did you deal with it? Right? What is that you did? What was the situation? What was the task? What was the action you took? So we will look at all that. So when we talk about so first of all, I hope you understand that the principle is past behavior predicts future behavior. This is the principle. Okay. Having said that, how do you then go about planning for this interview if you want to do BI? Very clear. You have to have competencies for that particular role. If you don't have competencies, then why don't you work about? Take a JD, look at them, and today I'm so sorry. You can do at a click of a button. You can also take the help of AI and then customize it to your needs, saying that you can be proactive. You don't have to call a consultant only. We have to call a consultant. We have to do. You don't have to do that. You can do it. Now, having done that, just competencies enough adaptability or result orientation or pressure bearing. That's enough. No, it has to be translated into what? It has to be translated to your behavioral indicators, because behavioral indicators are the ones which will actually give you evidence of the presence or the absence of that competency. But just by listing, let me tell you, I have done so much of consulting. I have noticed many organizations just list out competencies, 4 or 5. Now you have given that sheet to the recruiter. You have not even in that context, how is he supposed to behave? What is the minimum? What is the max? What is the rating scale? Yeah? What is the threshold? So how will he say then, okay, this is the evidence I have gathered. So therefore, this evidence is, below average or above average should I take? So you also need to have what we discussed in our last session or earlier. What are they called? Bars. Behaviorally anchored rating put on a rating scale. So there is something called the minimum behavior which is required, and it can also be excellent. But sometimes because I want to train a person, because if you full 100% readiness, he will cost you more. You will agree? If you want a person who is readily, he will cost you more. So you will take a person whom you will train him up, and you'll say, okay, fine, I don't mind. But this is the threshold where I definitely require these competencies. But there might be a critical competency or a differentiated competency or a rare competency, which, like for example, empathy for a counselor. You can't say this person is highly knowledgeable, has great qualification and experience. But when you tested, this person doesn't have empathy at all, can't talk to people at all. Now, is it trainable? It is trainable, but it will take you a long time. So it's better to then say, hey, I can make concession in qualification, experience, but not in empathy. Payroll guy, he's a very good guy. He's been with in payroll for 10 to 15 years, accountancy, everything, highly qualified. Eye for detail, so many mistakes, no eye for detail. Can you teach a guy eye for detail? It takes a long time. It's better to hire a person who has eye for detail, listening skills. So you have to test for those key competencies which are absolutely essential. Can you give me another competency for HR business partner which is essential? Simple.
Again, interpersonal skill is one of the key requirement.
Absolutely, it is high. Because listening also I will add it in it, right? Listening. Can you teach somebody listening?
Of course.
You can teach listening. It's a
So
trait.
listening is a skill basically, not a
No, I
full-fledged
said,
competence.
can you train somebody in listening?
Acha, okay. I
So you
think trainable, but it will take long time.
long time. It's a trait. It's a trait
To
because
train.
it's been, right from the beginning. Any habit, it becomes, it takes a longer time. Planning and organizing is also, a trait. It's a habit. It doesn't come immediately. So there are certain competencies, behavioral competencies, which are required, which are very essential. So you have to make differentiation of, hey, whether discretion, in fact, whether, I should take a person for skills which are trainable, or whether I should take a person for skills which are not trainable and hire for, you know, hire for skills which are not trainable and train for skills which are trainable, right? So you have to identify in every role. That's what I typically tell most of the recruiters, that you definitely have to make a note of what is that one competency or skill which is very critical for the success of this job, and you have to ensure that that person has that competency. Okay. So in these steps, when we talk about introduction, that means which in fact KK has established when he was doing that, trying to make that person at ease, helping that person, motivating him, and also then trying to explore more, talking about his background, talking about his education, jobs and responsibilities, what is he doing currently. These are important. Not only, why do you think the first question you typically talk is, hey, tell me something about yourself. That's what cake is, that, no? Or tell me something about your education qualification. Typically, why do you do that? What are these called in the beginning? They are called icebreakers.
Icebreakers.
Why do you need them? Why can't I just go and give him a punch and say, hey, did you do this? And will he be comfortable? Even if he was very good, he won't be able to do that, right? You need an icebreaker, no? Huh? To thaw the ice. So I'll be very comfortable talking about my personal history, my education. So that will create that comfort level. So then, what are your, so he's also comfortable talking about what are his responsibilities, right? So when you do all that, then there is some amount of trust built and he starts talking up. Some people are very good, but they're not able to open up in an interview. But they're very good. So if you don't help them to open up, you're losing a good candidate. Maybe it does not require good communication skills. Say, for example, I'm hiring for an R&D. I'm hiring for a very high analytical kind of a guy where he doesn't read a lot of, oral communication skills. So you have to pull him out. You have to help him to understand, hey, that minimum amount of communication is good enough. Okay. So when we are talking about, let me jump straight into this BEI, how to do it. Okay. This is the most important heart of it. We typically call it a star approach. Very simple. Why do we call the star approach? Because if Soumya has actually narrated his challenges, experiences in a star approach, KK would have also analyzed it. So it is my duty as an interviewer to tell him that please go through this and help him to understand. Tell me the situation, then tell me the task, tell me the action, tell me the result. So that even in your observation, you can write STAR so that it is very clear. Then based on the response, you are able to circle and say, hey, he actually acted at 1 or at 3 or at 4 or 5 is very important. So what is the star? S tells you what? Situation. Means, say for example, tell me about a time. We'll take Soumya's only. What question he said? KK asked, tell me about a time when, you had to deal with some challenge with regard to pressure. Okay, pressure. Huh? Campus guy has to deal with a lot of pressure. Okay. Then he will tell you the situation. What kind of a situation he can say? The deadline was there, but the candidates were not ready. And our students were having exams. Campus students were having exams. So the situation, what has happened? So why should we understand the situation? It tells me what were all the challenges when he had to act. More, the situation is very grave, intense, or situation was not so intense. So depending on that, I can also say how critical was the situation. You agree? For example, deadline just 1 week away. And I have to complete a project on within those 4 days, big project. And the penalties will be very high if the project is not complete. 2 people, my core team members, sick, cannot come. Okay? Situation. No? Isn't it a very critical situation? Okay. Then my quality guy, he also absconds, he absenteeism. Then think of the project manager in this situation, then what all he must have done. And the task was to finish the task on time. So what kind of action would have taken? So that will help me to understand deeper and deeper, saying, hey, what are the behaviors which came out of him? Maybe he'll quickly outsource it. Maybe he will take help. Maybe he will collaborate with others because he's so that kind of a guy who still finishes the project on time, KK. What will you say then? Or Soumya, what will you say then? Absolutely. That means that is a high point, no?
Yes,
So all the behaviors which will come out of it, you will be able to tell, was he collaborative? Was he high on proactiveness? Was he high on, anticipating problems? Did he keep a backup, anticipating all this? So a lot of things come up. So when we assess and elicit, what is elicit? What is elicit? Simple word. Paul, what is elicit? Huh?
Precise.
Getting information from the candidate, eliciting information from the
Precising.
candidate
Yeah.
on any
Yeah.
particular competency. Okay. So I have to elicit information on situation, task, action, result. I'm emphasizing because I'm going to give you a practice exercise and I really want you all to do that so that you are hands-on with that. Okay. This is called STAR technique. Any questions here, guys? STAR technique? Any questions? Any questions? The situation, what is the scene like? Then what is the task at hand? What is the purpose? What do you need it to do? Then what the action did you do? And result. Many people say we did this, we did this. So when you're talking about action, it is not we. Then I have to clarify what was your role in it? How did you go about? So I want to know what Paul did. I don't want to know what the group did. The group may have done, but what is that you did? So I have to clarify. Whenever you are not ambiguities is there and you are not very clear whether he did it or not, then you have to clarify. Can I interrupt? I would like to clarify this. Please give me more information on this. So when we are talking about this, we use a technique called probing. I'm sure everybody knows about probing. Say, for example, in an interview, I will ask, what is your name? What's your education qualification? Where are you from? Then what is your job responsibility? Okay, what challenges did you go through in this job? I'm asking him a set of questions. What information did I get about it? Nothing very special. I've not gone deep down, no? I have to go deep down to understand him better in those core competencies. So that is called probing. Funnel technique. Broad, open-ended questions. What is that? Open-ended questions. So how do you define by open-ended question? When I said open-ended question, can you give me examples? When I say ask open-ended questions, can you give me some
Question.
examples? Huh?
A question that requires more than yes, no. That means something where they have to give their
Absolutely.
opinion.
KK, what is your, what is it? Is it hot or cold? You will say, yes, it's hot. Yes or no kinds. Limited. So if I'm going to ask questions which are narrow, which are limited to responses, I'm not saying they're bad. Please understand. I'm not saying they're bad. I'll come to that. But during the introduction, why do you ask, tell me something about your education? Broad, open-ended. Tell me, describe. You want to know more. So these are questions which are called open-ended. Funnel, broad. Tell me something. Tell me the kind of, what all skills do you have? Right? Then I will tell you, I have this, I have this, I have this. What all technologies do you know? Then I will slowly find out if what technologies I want to know and I'll ask. So first broad. Maybe in between, maybe in the end, you can definitely ask a just for reconfirmation, close-ended questions or yes or no questions. Just reconfirmation. Because obviously, when I ask a close-ended question, oh, do you like this? Yes, I like this. Because I will respond the way you want me to respond. I will tell things the way you want me to tell things. But does that mean I'm going to I behave that way? Doesn't tell me anything. Only when I need clarification, I will ask a close-ended question. Now, what is a leading question?
So
You
leading
heard of leading
question,
questions? Huh?
leading question means when we ask something where the answer has to be come in a progressive manner.
When you are asking leading questions in an interview, there is a tendency of biasness. You know what's the leading question? Oh, you enjoy working under pressure, right? What does it
Okay.
mean? You tell me. Huh?
Obviously,
Will I
yes.
say, no, I don't enjoy working under pressure? No, I'm already taking it for granted. Huh? That I'm sure you met all your project deadlines. Obviously, I will say, yes, sir, even if I've not done. I may be working, slogging. Paul, you're a team player, aren't you? Now tell me in the interview, what am I
Definitely.
getting out? Huh? You tell me.
Definitely.
Huh? I know you're very good at handling the customer complaints, right? So these are leading questions. Got it? Very clear? So don't get into asking leading questions. Of course, there are so probing questions will tell you deeper and deeper. I don't understand something. Okay, can you tell me more? Then what did you do exactly? How did you go about convincing others? What is that you did to convince others? I convinced. But does it give you evidence of some behavior? What is that he did to convince? Okay. So these are probing questions. So when people are saying we did this, please specifically ask, what did you do? What is they will, many a time they will. So this is where is the difference. Okay. So these are some of the questions I've just written for adaptability. We can do, and then we can break for a small break. Okay. I won't show these questions. Okay. If you were to test for adaptability, just random, tell me what questions can we ask? Open-ended. What questions? Can we ask? Tell
Simple.
me about a time when you were asked to do something you had never done before. No? Adaptability is what? Adapting to something situation, adapting something to new place, adapting something to new technology, adapting something to a new location. So whenever you are adapting to something which you have not done before, there is always a change. There is always a challenge. So how do we then cope with the challenge? We do something to cope with the challenge, right? Say, for example, it's a new technology. How do I adapt myself? Obviously, I will start reading, I'll practicing, change management. Like, for example, tell me about a time when you had to adjust to your colleagues' working style. New leader has come, new boss has come. I need to adapt myself. So, what did you do? How did you go about? Right? So, these are some of the questions which you can actually ask when you are testing for adaptability. Okay. I've also given you a lot of what is it? Question bank for you when you are doing your exercise. Great, great. So, what were we talking about? Just to give you a quick recap of what we were talking about. We were talking about, we saw traditional, how we did a mock interview, a simulation of a traditional interview, uh, and how unstructured, no consistency, you do not know, it does not assess for the competencies required for the position. So you are not in a good position to take a decision with full confidence whether you have to hire or not. So what is a better option? Yes, definitely an interview through a behavioral event is much more predictable, reliable, and validated. As I said, 55% higher than a interviewing method. And what is the key there? the key is that we use a technique called what? Past behavior predicts future behavior. And how do you elicit information of past behavior? Through certain critical incidents. The employee having been there, taken certain actions, which will actually show certain behavior, which can be observed or heard of, which will be an evidence for the existence or the presence or the absence of that particular competency. Okay. So, what is the key in a behavioral event interviewing? That is questioning, questioning the critical incidents and the outcomes, the actions, and the behaviors which are demonstrated in those critical incidents. And we do it through a framework called STAR method: situation, task, action, and result. Okay. Having said that, to get deeper and more information, to elicit more information, we use a technique called probing technique. That means it's like a funnel. You're going deeper and deeper. Okay. First you go broad, and then you are going deeper and deeper to understand the behavior of that person in those critical situations. Okay. Say, for example, so these are some sample questions. Say leadership. Leadership is a competency which is required across all levels. But the proficiency will differ, right? At a higher level, the proficiency of a leadership like an head HR will be much more, maybe a middle manager lesser. So leadership is required. So depending on the proficiency levels, I hope all of you understand proficiency levels. What is proficiency level? The required intensity of that competency. Okay. Proficiency. What is the amount of intensity of that competency required? Now we can actually then design questions around leadership. Say, for example, if there was, describe a situation where you needed to persuade someone to see things your way. Do you think there is some aspect of leadership in this? When you have to influence someone, when you have to persuade someone, your way, then something, right? How do you do that? What is that you do? So, what steps did you take, or what did you do? What were the results, right? So, if this person can just sum it up into, I did this and this was done. So, I need to go probe further to know much more about what exactly he did. So these are just some questions. Like, for example, give me an example of a time when you felt you led by example. Okay, what did you do? How did others react? So these are just some questions which I have just put as sample questions to assess certain competencies. Okay. Prioritization. Where do you think this is mostly this competency becomes very critical? In what roles? Prioritization. Especially in roles where there is a customer interface, there's a time bound delivery. Don't you think prioritization becomes very important? Because I need to deliver something in certain deadlines. Then I need to really prioritize, plan, etc. Like, for example, campus recruiter prioritization becomes very important because his deadlines, there are dates where he has to actually, plan and, I mean, have the dates for interviewing. Because what happens if you don't get time dates much in advance, then you might not even get a date for that particular slots. There are slots in the campus where your best students come on that day, day 1, day 2, day 3. So really need to prioritize and keep talking to the campus placement heads. So there's a lot of prioritization. Planning, that becomes very important. Where else do you think prioritization is critical? Any other roles? Project manager, prioritization, right? Any other roles where it is very critical? Any other roles you can think of? Okay. So, tell me about a project that you planned. How did you organize and schedule tasks? Because what happens when you're doing prioritization, etc., sometimes resources may be not there. Sometimes people with the necessary trainings may be not there. So there will be a lot of challenges. So I want to know, how did you manage? What is that you did, right? Huh? to ensure that the task was done. Give an example of a time when you delegated an important task successfully. Very important. A lot of behaviors can be elicited from that. So these are some of the sample questions. Okay. Now, you have asked questions. Okay. You have asked questions around critical incidents. Now, there is a format or a framework. How do you observe? Let me tell you guys, observing lot many times. Tell me your experience. I think some people, I don't know about Paul, but I'm sure KK can tell me or Nishant can tell me, in your experience, when you are an interviewer, how meticulously did you have formats to note down the observation? कुछ लिख दिया, कुछ कर दिया, notes गया, take him. Okay. Meena Dika, okay, take him. He's good. Yeah, he look good. Take him. Did you take notes? Tell me or share your experience, KK. If you have interviewed somebody, did you take notes in a particular framework very carefully, then evaluated it, compared it with the necessary skills and competencies required for that position, and then said, hey, all the 4 candidates, where are they? Yeah, somebody is talking. Yeah, tell me. Yes, KK. Somebody was
No,
prompting
someone
something.
else was talking actually. But
Ah,
anyway, let me reply. So
ah,
honestly, we don't record so much of the things.
mm,
Only few credentials, few critical inputs, kind of.
mm,
But we
mm,
don't
mm,
write or note all the observations in terms of behavior and all those things.
mm, mm.
And I think that is
Ah,
not possible also, because writing down, noting down everything in
ah.
terms of the thing.
So here
Uh,
is it. Here it is. Depending on the criticality of the role,
right.
it's always very important. At an entry level, maybe I'm not going to really take in, because I'm going to touch upon knowledge and experience, and knowledge hai kya? Concepts very, very clear. So I'm going to focus on few things, and my formatting will be very good. But when I'm going higher and higher for leadership roles, where I can't take a risk, let me tell you guys, in good companies, they will actually take permission to record the entire interviews of all the critical incidents, because you can't keep hiring, firing, rehiring leadership roles. It sends out a very bad message outside saying that इनके घर में leadership क्या है, ये organization में आ रहा है, जा रहा है, so much of attrition is happening. It's okay for your entry level, etc. So what I'm trying to say, I'll definitely take your that there is no time. I know how it is in manufacturing organizations. Uh, uh, I I know, in the largest manufacturing organizations also, they just go by hunch and they don't take notes. But what I'm trying to say, don't take entire. This is a framework. This is very important. But at least write down certain key, have a framework so that you are able to assess, you know, what is required and what have you got vis-a-vis all the candidates, and not just go by subjectivity. Okay, this, I think he was good, take him. At least you're able to compare, right? That's important, because then what happens, it helps you to predict. Once you have taken him, like, let me also tell you, lot many organizations keep telling me, ma'am, we have high attrition in 6 months time. They come entry level and 1 2 years, they in 6 months they go away. Okay. Why? You have actually not, they go away for many reasons, of course. I'm not saying for underperformance or motivational. They thought something, they came, they saw, they're not happy, they have gone. Does it happen, KK? Huh? They were good, but some motivational interview. What are they? Motives. What is their driver? Is it salary? Huh? Is it great environment? Is it opportunities for working more in challenges? So sometimes they say, I have noticed, because when I'm called, says, brilliant, ma'am, but they were not happy because they were, run of the mill kind of job. They were not interested. And we couldn't offer them, we couldn't keep them because we were not able to keep up to their challenges, etc. So we need to understand what exactly I need. Okay. Because high attrition is also not a good thing. Churn is not good for the organization. Okay. But yes, having said that, all HR people, it's always nice to know a framework. So this is a very good framework. What is this framework called? ORS. We call it as ORS. observe, record, which we use it even in assessment center and also in a BEI. What is it? Observe, record, classify, and evaluate. Why is it like that? You may say, but it has a scientific aspect to it. What? If I make my notes, no, it helps you not to be judgmental. It makes you like a camera. You are only listening to him, watching him. You are like a audio, a video, ears and eyes. You are not supposed to make your judgments there. Or I said something else. I'm using a word called inference. What is inference? Maybe मेरे को ना थोड़ा सा कंधे में जाना है. Oh, he put his level. So I will infer he's not interested. He is this. Inferring. Cues. The cue could be something. You didn't even clarify. The cue could be for something else. But I'm inferring. So for a person who is interviewing, it's very important that listening is what? And writing, observing everything. Don't infer. Don't judge. And then you record everything. Observe, record. And then you start classifying it with respect to what are the competencies required, what are the behaviors required. Easy demonstrating, am I able to see those behaviors here? And then you can evaluate. And then evaluate with what? With again, what is required with your behavioral indicators, with your bars. Then you are doing a scientific hiring. But if you are not even evaluating with what is required, see, I said what? What is required vis-a-vis what you have seen, recorded, classified. Then you can say, hey, yes, he's close, he's trainable, I can hire him. He's a good hire because I can predict his performance. Will you give it to me that yes, it's important to know a framework and follow the framework to a great extent. Because why? How does the framework help you? It helps you by not falling into the trap of biases, subjectivity. Why do you think a framework is important? Because otherwise, framework ke bina, I can become Horn effect, halo effect, what? Leniency error, unconscious bias. I don't know. But I have a bias against stereotypes. I have a bias against, all tall people are very good. All short people are underperformers. I can have, right? Unconscious bias. So I do not know. But if you follow a framework, then what happens? You are able to be consistent. It is structured and you are having a better result. Okay? Any questions, KK, here? Because you guys are going to observe few things.
No, ma'am. Fair
Any
enough, I think.
questions? KK, Soumya, Ananya. Okay? Pardon?
No, nothing, I think.
Is there something, KK?
No, ma'am.
Can I say, if a person is quiet and is not talking, that is, suppose somebody during a group discussion, he is very quiet. That also is, I can observe, no, during the group discussion. No, that's also an observation. Okay. So you can use star, rat, arts is all the same thing. Okay. In a behavioral event, when you're doing a behavioral event interviewing, please look out for words like we. Always clarify. So tell me, what was your role? One. Next, I would have done this. I should have done this. What does that mean? Hypothetical. We are not looking at what you can do. I'm not asking a question. You are saying, what is that you will do? Where will you be in the next 3 years? There's to give stress interviews, all hypothetical. But research has proved that hypothetical answers do not prove anything. Okay? So I will only say what you like, but I'm not going to, but that does not mean that I'm really going to behave like that. So would, should, could. Okay? Now, Words like typically, usually, I usually do that. Then pin him down. Generally, these are all, indicators you must check for them. Using a past tense is a good indication they are giving you a true star. Using a present tense is a good indication that they have not yet done it. Okay? Because during critical incidents, you can get trapped with things like, oh, I usually do like that, I generally do like that. So these are traps. You need then concrete evidence. You need concrete evidence. If Paul will say, I usually come late or I usually come on time, I'm punctual. Huh? But that doesn't say much about you. I generally do this thing. Doesn't say much about you. You have to be specific. You have to be specific. Okay? Now, so these are some open-ended which we have already talked about. You can start a question like tell me, describe, give me an example. These are good ways of starting a question. Now, there are certain questions, okay? Tell me which are the questions which are you a team player? This is a
Leading
closed-ended
question.
question. Closed-ended. No, no.
Good question.
Closed-ended question. Yes. No.
That-
Yes, I'm a team player. Can you reframe it if you want to know whether this guy is a team player? Tell me about a time when you were in charge of a task, project, describe your. You can always tell him, no, help him. So, okay. Now I'm going to read out certain questions and you have to tell me whether they are behavior. Tell me about a time when you were in charge of a task or a project. Obviously, this is a behavior question. What interests or concerns do you have about the position or about working here at this company? Is this a behavior-based question? So these are some concerns. So it is typically not a behavior. What was your greatest challenge in a particular leadership role you have had? Obviously, you can say some behavior must have come out. What idea have you developed and implemented that was particularly creative or innovative? Typically, it is not a behaviorally based question. What characteristics do you think are important for this position? Is it a behaviorally based question? It's just a question, knowledge question. It is not a behavior question. Okay? Okay. All right. These are the questions. I want you to tell me which competency does it assess? Describe a time you worked with a team. Which competency does it assess?
Of course, teamwork.
Teamwork, interpersonal also can come. Generally, no? Cooperation also can. Tell me about a time when you had to motivate a group of people to meet a deadline. Tell me about a time when you had to motivate a group of people to meet a deadline. Group of
Management.
people to meet a deadline. Tell me what
Management.
competency. Huh?
Management.
Motivate group of people to meet a deadline. Collaboration.
No, but why not management then? Because I am motivating my team, our team, to meet the deadlines. So rather I am inspiring them, I am facilitating them. So won't it be a management
Think about
also?
it. We can think about it. So management. Tell me about a time
Sorry,
when
since
you
it's
had to
written here,
motivate.
this management is mentioned here.
It's mentioned here. A trap.
Anyway, so
Trap. No.
collaboration will also be a close answer. But since management is written there, so I'm trying.
Chalo, I will tell you closest konsa. Very spot on konsa. Which one? It
The
will
third
have,
one.
see, motivation group of people to meet a deadline. So just think about it. So communication तो है ही, but you have to collaborate more. You know, deadline hai, so follow through bhi karna hai. Because deadline hai, so how are you going to do follow through, right? Interpersonal bhi hai, because you are. Give me an example of a time you had to motivate yourself to get a project done. How did you do this? Isme kya hai? Tell me. Ambition.
Ambition,
Ambition.
commitment.
Then commitment. Huh? You agree? Now you are seeing the difference little, no? Okay. Tell me about a time when you had to handle a kind of a project you hadn't handled before. Which competency?
Problem
Tell
solving.
me about a time when you had to handle a kind of a project you hadn't handled before. You have not handled before.
Problem solving.
Resourcefulness.
To resourcefulness.
Resourcefulness. Yes, of
Because
course.
why? You have not handled before. So that means काफी सारे resources आएंगे उसमें. Tell me about a time when you are under great deal of pressure to deliver on time.
Of course, time management.
Time
Decision
management,
making also.
obviously. Then because you have to deliver on time, you maybe resourceful be and you are trying to do right. Decision making also will come to a certain extent. Delegation will come. So you, I mean, whole lot of things. Describe a time when you delivery and quality. Interesting है तब. वो बोलते हैं ना recruiter को. You have to close numbers. What will the recruiter do? Quality मारो गोली.
Decision making, of course.
अरे 60 days. Huh? Jaldi karo. After that, you will see, oh my God, 3 months mein attrition 50%. Huh? Describe an unpopular decision you had to make. So obviously,
Decision making.
you can look at the decision making. Describe the most effective team that you are a part of or led. So you can
Teamwork.
also look at teamwork. No? Teamwork. Okay. Guys, where is that? I will go to exercise. I've sent you a sheet. It's a very interesting sheet. You have this exercise, all of you, right? What document आया होगा आपके पास? Huh? Did you get this? All of you?
Of course, I get them, but didn't do anything, not download even.
No, don't do anything. You have to do now. This is just an instruction which I've kept it here. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you need to do? How many of us are here? Let me see how many numbers are there.
Same 4 people, I believe.
We are 4 people. So I think एक ही group बनाना पड़ेगा. Okay. Because observer तो चाहिए ही, एक ही group बनाएंगे. All right. 2 observers can be there. See. Simple. What you need to do now, 4 people are there. You get, for each round, you will get, say about 6 to 7 minutes. Huh? I'll tell you how you have to do this, and there's a great learning, and I want to do it seriously. What is it? We are actually learning this technique of STAR method, and then looking at, what were the observations there. So we'll have observers, and we'll have an interviewer, and we'll have an interviewee. Since we have 4, so 2 observers, and then after that round, then the observer will become the interviewer again. Okay, and 1 more competency. All that you need to do is now, you have to take 1 competency from here. Okay. Which competency, because it's only 1 group. Tell me which competency will you assess? Okay. Now, teamwork. Okay. Now you have 2 or 3 other sheets where you can ask, you have a lot of questions, how to ask open-ended questions on teamwork and all that. Okay. Now, you can visualize whether it is an HRBP person or any role, HRBP. Now, what you need to do, the observer, please, the interviewer will ask the interviewee, I will now decide on teamwork only. You're not doing any other thing. So he is going to ask two critical incidents or one only star method, only one star method. Okay. Situation, task, action, result. And the observer in that group will write here, was the star followed? Yes, no, partially. Task clear, actions taken, result described, all that observations the observer will write. Okay? I've sent you the sheet. You can use that sheet. You can use it on the computer itself. You can share it since you're only one group. I can also see what's happening then. So what is it? We will start in the next 1 minute. Get the clarity first. Who is going to be the interviewer in this group? Last time, if I say KK again, he'll say, ma'am, last time also I was the interviewer. Why are you now hanging my head? So we'll use one more person. Any volunteers? Otherwise, I will name. Any volunteers or I will name? Any volunteers? Okay. Paul, would you like to be the interviewer? Okay. You are the
Sure.
interviewer. Who is the interviewee? Let's make KK the interviewee. Huh?
Yeah, sure.
KK at any middle level, senior level, we are. Now, Paul will ask what him on the specific competency called, you have decided, no, teamwork or whatever you all decide. One. Now, you have to ask him what? How do you elicit evidence of this behavior? It's very critical. So, how do you elicit? So, you have to ask him critical incident and you will observer. Who is the observer here? Ananya? Are you there? Soumya? Are you there? Ananya, Soumya. I want one observer because while the interview is going on, it's difficult. I can make a note, but I want someone. Is someone there who can make an observation? Yes, no. Ananya? Okay, I'm going to make advice. I'll make that. All right. So you have the notes also if you want to use it for teamwork, anything. So is it very clear? KK is the candidate. Paul is the interviewer. You are assessing him, eliciting behavior, data for a competency. Now I leave that competency to you between both of you, which one you want. Okay. And you are going to do it in the star method. So ensure you explain the star method and tell him that you're going to actually look at a critical incident, which is your high point. Because in a BEI, we look at 2 or 3 points, some low, some high. But here we are looking at a high point. Now, when I say high point, what does it mean? That he has really been very successful, very good in that particular situation, huge impact. So, a high point. Okay, done. Any questions here? Then you can do it here itself. Any questions? Okay, done. And the time will be, time will be about 5 minutes. 5 minutes we can use, 5 to 6 minutes. But
So,
please,
do I need to break the ice? No need, or we just go straight into the BI
okay,
questions?
for learning, you can also break ice, but probing technique. You have to go deep
No
down.
problem.
We are not breaking ice. When you meet him in person, you can break ice. in the true sense. Okay.
All right.
Probing. I told you probing technique. Keep, he may just finish it off in one sentence. You want to know more. Probing technique. Please use the probing technique. I'll be your observer. Done?
Okay. Hi, good afternoon, Mr. KK. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon. I'm good. Thank you.
A second time we are meeting online again for an interview. The last time you were mentioning that
Yeah.
that you weren't too happy with things, but it's good to see that you're here still with our company today. So I'm very happy to be able to do this again with you. So just give me a brief. How was your day today?
Yeah, it's good, Paul. Going good.
What was so good about it today?
Well, good question. So yes, I'm focusing on my job. I'm getting sufficient support from my team. I'm able to deliver results and accomplish today's task. So that's why I'm calling it good.
Oh, that sounds like a very, very good day. So that's nice to hear. So for this promotion that you're up for, right? I just want to ask you a couple of questions, right? Especially in your current team, because you're going to be taking over a much larger team after this. So can you describe a time when you had to work with your team that had very different personalities? So how did you ensure that the different personalities, the different age groups, how do you get them to collaborate well with each other? What did you do?
Well, Paul, basically, teamwork is my basic trait of my personality. So I am basically a team player. I always prefer to be in teams, lead a teams, and support them up. So I have always achieved whatever result I could be able to achieve with the teamwork only. And I firmly believe that no one can do anything alone and solo. Only teamwork can yield results. So there are a number of incidents in my career, past career. So anything specific you would like to understand, I can definitely share with.
Sure. I would love to hear maybe something whereby it was a big project that was looking like it's going to head towards a delay, but how you managed to collaborate and get everybody to team up and work together to make it happen on time. Do you have a situation like that at any time in your career?
Yeah, Paul, of course, many times when we are falling short of deadlines and lagging behind the targets. So I always used to empower my team, support them, and so that's how we yielded results or we achieved the results.
Right. Can you give me some examples? You use the word empowering. How do you empower your teams?
Well, so speaking precisely, I will share some examples or some incidences of IR situation where I was with some organization where very intense IR situation was there. I have recently joined the organization as the head of the HR, and obviously, because being a new person, you need time to build your rapport and get you accustomed with the team. And I was facing utmost resistance from the existing team player also and the peer level also. So first, building up my rapport was the first thing I was keeping in mind. And obviously, understanding my team's personality, team's preferences was one of the tasks. And since the team and the peer, so when I'm talking about team, so team is not necessarily my subordinates only, my peer level also. So understanding their behaviors, their motives, and their aspirations, the causes of resistance. So I try to find out and I try to facilitate and help them manage with those biases or any mental challenges they are having. So that's how I was able to bring them on board to serve to come out with the situation together. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Well, that's good. And so once you do things like this, how does it work when it comes down to working or getting your team to work together?
You
Do
understand. See, everyone has different motives, even though everyone works for the organization with similar common objective. But again, the inherent behavior or the so many motives are there, which sometimes creates a rift among the team itself. So one of the major factor was that the entire team was not wanting me to get succeeded or to achieve success because the moment I get success, I would my position has been established there in the organization, and their power or their authorities have been reduced to some extent. So that was one of the motives. How I dealt with this, I simply bring them up, along said that it's a team objective. In case if we have a worst hire situation, if we are not able to handle union together, the productivity will be lost. Um, Company may even get shut down also for some times. And ultimately, it's a very, disrespectful position for the entire HR department and the management team. So that took time, of course, making them understand about the problems, helping them to come out of their personal choices and biases. So with due course of time, again, it took some time, but in fairly a week's time, I could be able to sell the situations through.
Okay, can we stop, Paul? Okay, okay. Yeah, I've
Thank
recorded.
you.
I will just
Thanks, KK.
first.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to ask from I from KK. Okay, first let me ask from the person who's really framed the question. So, what is that you think you did well, Paul, during this interview, and what was your objective? First of all, let us
Um,
be understanding what was your intent. What was the
my
brief?
intent, right.
Hmm.
So
What was
my
the objective
intent
goal?
was to find out more on just one particular key point, which was teamwork. So how
Teamwork.
he brings the teamwork together and how he can get his team to collaborate together. So
Right. Okay.
that
Collaborate
was my
together.
intent.
All
Yes,
right. So
teamwork
you
and collaboration.
understand that in teamwork, collaborate, this is a behavioral competency that, so therefore you need to have action, right?
Yes.
And you needed to elicit that kind of a behavior. Now, think
Yes.
of KK, how he went about. You definitely ask question. First, let me speak about what is written, then I will do.
Right.
KK, if he is there, have you noticed KK was not you did not fix him whenever he was going away. You did not give him a star framework. Situations, no. He was saying, I firmly believe. I firmly believe in teamwork. Now I firmly believe in God. I firmly believe in this. Does it elicit? Is that a behavior? Is that a statement?
Yeah.
So based on I firmly believe in teamwork, can you assess a person? You getting me? The
Yes.
data, what you're getting. How so never at any point of time, you started clarifying, you have not questioned him. Okay, because he was totally going on saying that, I build rapport. What is that you do when you are
Yes.
building rapport? How do you go about? What is that you do? What some of the challenges which come? Then you will know, no? Rapport happens, but rapport is an outcome. But what is that you do? How did you go about? So I don't know. Okay. Understanding behaviors, motives, and aspirations. How do you go about understanding and why do you want to understand their behaviors? What is the intent? Right?
Right.
I'm a manager who's having cramps. So I'm actually going around walking. So walking can't be construed as I'm actually supervising. So why are you doing that? Clarify, clarify. Where is KK? Are you getting me, KK? KK? Actually, let me see if I
Yeah.
can. No, when he responded, there was not, there was nothing about the eliciting behavior of yours. Okay, when you are generally saying, because I'm trying to clarify for you so that you know exactly what it is. Let me. Why? 1 second, no? I thought I will just, since I recorded. Hmm. Can you hear?
See what the book can I guess. We have a situation like that. Many times, at times when we are college or grades behind the gates. So I always
I always, so when you're, see, I've recorded. Actually, I would like to make that transcript. I will do that. In fact, I'll ask Wilma so that you will see the difference now when I tell you. So there were not critical incidents. You were actually affirming certain things, certain statements. I do like this. I do like that. I go about. Just think about the entire thing. It didn't have any kind of an incident which you talked about, which he also probed deeper and deeper. Say, for example, his intent was teamwork and collaboration. Okay, what was it? His question? Difficult person, age group, multiple question. One question. Tell me a time when you had, a project to complete and how did you go about a difficult project in a deadline? But you can't have a question. Most of the interviewers, if you notice, it's a common error. They will give you multiple questions. Okay, then tell me this. Hey, the interviewee, give clarity. Which question is he supposed to answer? Don't get into multiple questions. One at a time. Multiple question, total no more. Second, as I said, in a BEI, so no firmly believing. Okay, I support the team. So what is that you do to support the team? How do you? So you need to probe there. How do you go about? I want verbs. I want action. STAR. What are the actions you do for these tasks? KK said a lot of things he does, but what are the actions which lead to that task? And then the results. I'm not so much concerned in result, but more of the actions. Now, since I've told you that, will you follow the STAR framework? And now KK can be the interviewer and Paul can be the interviewee and take any competency which you are comfortable. Take your own time now. Don't rush. Just go through the notes. You have to, what is it? You have Concom also. You have other two notes where I've given you list of questions. Use. It could be problem solving, or it could be customer focus, or it could be influence. Anything, whichever you want to take. Write down questions. Make a situation. And now I want a real STAR method. Okay. Got it, guys? Both of you work together on the question so that this is a practice. Interviewing is an art and a science. You can't, everybody thinks, oh, I'm a great interviewer, I can get it. No, you've got to practice and practice and practice, and only then you become a good interviewer. Let me tell you. Great people who are working as great CHROs also, at interviewing, I have noticed they go more by the hunch, and unless and until you are very scientific and you understand the nitty-gritty, only then you are able to hire a right person. So I would suggest both of you look at one competency. I don't know if there are others. I just said two because I'm seeing two faces. Ananya is there or somebody is there. I would like all of you, if they are there, look at a competency. Please design a questions and do that round within you. I'm okay with it? You very clear? Don't think I'm an interviewer. No, I won't do that. No. KK, you also have to do it. Okay? So use one competency and please write questions and do the same thing. And somebody, if there is someone, right, I want you all to do the STAR method, STAR framework. Okay? And then make your observations. You can do it here because we are very few people. You can do it here. And the observation form is very clear here. So then we can do the observation. Which competence are you taking? You can decide and you can discuss amongst yourself and write the questions.
Okay.
Okay,
So
I'll give you.
the interview this time. So
I think we should still do teamwork so that we can see just now the
Teamwork,
not so good
you want to
example
do
and now a
teamwork?
better example. How's that sound to you, KK?
okay, it's okay.
It's between you two.
Yeah. It's okay.
Do the same thing. Can you do it in a better way? Right? Think of it in a better way now. Think of critical incidents. 5 minutes should be okay or 8 minutes? You tell me. You decide how much of time. 5 minutes or 8
We can do
minutes?
it for 5 minutes. I think 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
So start.
And use a recorder. And this time I want you all to record your own thing. And then you can then use this observation form. And between both of you, then start analyzing it. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so Paul, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
We are simply changing roles. Anyways, great learning, by the way. So, Paul, as you understand, we are sitting for for an interview or discussion wherein we are looking for you for a bigger role coming up. So, I would really like to understand because you are also supposed to handle a large size of team with diverse background from different age group, from different pedigree as such. So, I would like to understand really yeah, how you have handled teams and how you rate yourselves as a team player or a team leader.
Okay. So basically, I would say out of 10, I rate myself as a team leader about 7. And yeah,
That's really great. So, Paul, could you help me understand any situation where you are under tremendous pressure of delivering some results and or which can help me understand your capability as a team leader?
yeah. So basically, I would say if we talk about one certain situation, there was a time when we were required to actually get our project on time out within budget. When it was actually due to the client's request, it was already moving out of budget, but we needed to manage the client and also manage the team in order to make sure that we were definitely under budget. So that was one of the most challenging things because the client kept expanding the scope and we had to fit within the limitations of the budget to give the client what they want and also manage the situation. So I guess what I did or what I did as a team leader at that time of the team was to actually get all the deliverables out and go through the checklist one by one with all of my project managers and get them to actually state what was the doing or what they needed to get done in order to just meet the requirements of the client. So the first thing I would say was how we managed to stay under budget was to have a checklist and to actually go over the deliverables. And after our deliverables, to talk to the client and to just be very, very clear as to what we can do within the prescribed budget.
Yeah, great. But I would rather like to understand what specific actions you took, Paul, to set the projects within the budget.
So the specific actions we did was first we went into checklisting based on deliverables of the program of the scope of the project. So that means the deliverables. Then we checklist against the deliverables, and then we also went down to the budget and the requirements of the client. So anything out of scope, that was what we needed to actually address with the client. So specifically, what I did was when I was leading that team was to checklist against deliverables and also things which were out of the scope, which my project managers could do. And then we sat down, or actually, once we have tabulated it, then I sat down with the client and spoke to them about the deliverables and what was out of scope.
And you were
I
satisfied
think
with
even
the results.
KK is also at that stop. Okay, let me explain to you very well understood now. Huh?
Thank you, KK.
KK, thank you
Thank you.
so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, many a times, okay, I want to understand his teamwork. Simple. So, he said, and I like it. How do you handle team? And you said, okay, self self-report. We call it as self-report or self-appraisal. Please assess yourself. Start my video. Please assess yourself on a rating of 5 or 10. Where do you give yourself, right? Just to see what does the person think where he is. Now, after that, you asked him to talk about a situation or where there were deadlines and he had to complete this task within that, a project within the deadline. Now, situation. He created a situation where emphasizing on under budget. Okay. You could see in the entire thing under budget. That was a challenge scope. Then after that, the rest of it, as situation, okay, he said it was under budget and all that stuff. Tasks in action, if you notice, we had to go through the checklist in order to achieve this. Then we finished it. And then we told the client that we will be able to do it in the deadline. But what is that you did to prioritize this checklist? Or in order that the budget was there, how did you go about eliminating, or how did you go about ranking, or what is, see, I don't know how he went about it. Then he said, yes, it has a scope, I tabulated it. But still, I couldn't get the sense of what is that, what kind of pressure or what kind of, challenges were there in terms of, was it knowledge, in terms of skill, or in terms of resources. So nothing came out. So it is not the interviewee's role. It is the interviewer. He has to go deeper and deeper, saying, hey, because I'm interested, so I want to know. Otherwise, how will I know what he did? I could only hear only all the time under budget. But under budget doesn't, I finished under budget. I finished it in deadline. But that doesn't give me enough evidence to say that Paul really did something. How did he collaborate? How did he communicate? What is that he did to his members of the team? Did he speak to them? Did he communicate? Did he prioritize? He said this, he did this. So it didn't come out much. Have you seen? So this is what I'm saying. So I'm unable to assess him. Hey, is he all that I could see? And the task. Yes, I finished the task. But the result does not showcase or demonstrate enough evidence, for me to say, yes, Paul is a great team worker. I can really, rely on him when there are such situations. You tell me, KK. Are you with me?
We agree.
Loud and clear, Paul was under budget. Checklist bana diya. Kaam khatam kar diya. But I don't know anything. How did he do it? Did he carry all the monkeys on his shoulders and did? This is like what I call, if there is a sales manager, okay, and he has a team of 20 people. A sales manager has a big target. Say, for example, a regional sales manager. So even regional sales manager will have 20 sales reps who have to do sales. Every sales rep also will have an individual target. And the individual targets achieved will make up the regional target. Agreed? Now, say, for example, I want to check the sales manager's key competency will be what? Of course, the task is achieving target. But that is what? But how should he achieve the target? Should he achieve the target by planning, delegating, making clear that every sales guy has to do this much in his own location, and helping him out if he is not doing that? Hey, if you are not able to do, what is the gap, why, etc. Or okay, you're not doing, I will achieve it. So he will take only 2-3 people, carry everything, and he is doing. Achieve the target. But if there are 2 salespeople who has achieved the target by himself, and there's another guy, sales manager, who has achieved through his sales team, whom will you give credit to? Because the sales manager's job is to get work done, not do it yourself. You will see a lot of managers who, this every month we have to do this management committee reports and showcase them. So some fellows, oh my gosh, you can go, I'll do it myself. And start doing. Arey, why don't you train Meritt? Ma'am, he makes many mistakes. I can't train him. I'll do it myself. And then he will also crib. They have a lot of work. He has to put in many hours. But the salary is being paid for him, no? You have to train him. Your competency is to make him, give him the training, help him to do the job better. Not that you tell him, oh, he's making mistakes, I'll only do the job. I see the difference. So when I'm actually interviewing, I also must know if that manager, his job is planning, so is he able to plan? If he's a team lead, what is his scope? So that didn't come out from here. Did it come out? I don't know what he did. Checklist kar diya, bas, budget, and kar di. But I did not get anywhere. I couldn't elicit his behavior anywhere throughout the situation. Were you able to elicit any behavior, KK? Initiativeness, collaborativeness. Could you say that yes, he did this, which actually is an evidence for this competency? He demonstrated this behavior, which is so. This is what is we have to be in particular. Okay, I'll make you do just one more, just to get the clarity. But I want you all to take result orientation. Would you like to do result orientation, or would you like to do analytical thinking or innovation? Which one? Where are a candidate? Okay. All right. I will actually use KK again because he has some familiarity with positions. I'm using a position called, I'm sure all of you will know. I can use a position called HR analytics person whose the role is for an HR analytic. I can use an executive or a manager. If I say a manager means, again, he will have a team who will collect data and from everybody. But here I will say, okay, HR analytic exec. What is his role typically? That means he has to do, every month, what reports? Attrition report, okay, headcount report, absenteeism reports, and then collate all this data and do certain analysis. All right. He also has to do what? Visual. He also has to do dashboards. Hmm? And then present. That is Nishan. This is your role. You have to also do dashboards. Okay. Take it. All right. So KK is going to ask Nisha, how will you know that this guy has analytical thinking? First of all, do little preparation. Just go to those two documents, pick up analytical thinking and see what does it define and look at some questions, KK. That will be better, right? Because
So Nishant, we are directly, jumping on the discussion. So Nishant, can you tell me about a time when you had some, challenge and you are really supposed to analyze the issues, concerns to make a decision?
Yes, in my last year, last 3 years before, we faced some difficulty in attrition at my base level employees in my core department, core operational departments. So then I used the analysis of, I took the data of attrition and did the analysis. Then we realized the major attrition is with the people who have less than 6 years in the organization, and that too at the beginner level. So then we started reviewing the candidates. We started talking to the people. The first thing what we implemented is the buddy program. So they will always be buddy to the new joiner. So they have someone when they join in the organization, they have someone to talk to and have their doubts clarified. And the HR managers were made custodian of this process. And at corporate office, we during our audit, we are checking all the new joiners who are their mentors, and we talk to the new joiners randomly. Also, do they know about their mentors or buddies? So that has really helped us a lot. Earlier, there were many absconding cases. Those were also addressed. People leave, but we know why they are leaving. So that is what we did that. Plus, another thing, we also did some through Naukri. We see that we evaluated what the salary we are offering for those positions of that geography and what other our competitors were offering. So we made some correction in that also. So this really helped us.
Okay. I'm just KK. I'm actually stepping in for you. See, if you notice, Nishant has been talking about as a group, we. So therefore, if you really want a very
Yes.
good analytical person, and he mentioned about that they had some attrition problem and they were looking at, we did this. You must probe further, saying that, okay, what is that you did? What was your role? What kind of a data you had to look for? Because in analytics, I just can't state the objective and this is what is the result. To some extent, like for example, we did through Naukri also, we had this, and then we found out. You could go deeper into, because you will not know the depth of the problem also. I can see a small problem and make it appear it. No, you also want
Yes.
to know the depth of the problem. What is it? So that's where, uh, I mean, I would recommend that you should go about, because you want to know when you are assessing a person, the width and the depth of the incident. Okay. Yeah, Nishant, can you give one more, ask KK, one more
Yes.
critical. So typically when we are asking critical incidents, you don't just ask one, because one could be one off. You would like to have at least two or three critical incidents. You typically say, hey, I would like you to, describe where, where there were two highs or lows and not necessary, they can be a low also. I mean, you may have gone through a situation where it may not have been successful at the end. It doesn't matter. The result is not the matter. It is the effort and the action which you have taken. What is that you have done? Okay. So let us see, KK. Ask him another one.
So, well, Nishant, thank you. I would really like to understand as to what you did personally to, analyze the root causes of the attrition. Or alternatively, you can share me a few more examples of some similar incidents where your analytical skills were really, shown up.
Okay. So the same situation, because that was our pain point, the attrition at the base level, because they are the people who are working on the ground. Then I only did if you tell me what I did, I only downloaded the data from the software. I only analyzed myself, and then I gave this observation to my management, that to the head
1 second.
of director,
Yeah,
that
Nishant.
Sorry.
Yeah,
So sorry.
Nishant.
How you
Yeah, can I
analyze?
interrupt? Can I interrupt? Yeah, sorry, I'm KK.
yes, ma'am.
So you can think I'm stepping in for KK. You said attrition at a base level, okay? And you said I downloaded the data, right? So what kind of a data did you
Yes,
download? Because I want to know attrition. I can capture any kind of a data. So typically, if I want to know a person's analytical skill, capturing right data, processing it. That's how, because garbage in, garbage out also can happen, right? So I want to know what kind of a data did you,
yes.
right? Yeah, tell me,
Correct.
respond. You want to
So
respond?
I downloaded the attrition data.
Attrition data. Okay. And thereafter, what
Yeah,
is that you did then?
I
Hmm.
downloaded the attrition data. So when I
So
had
what
the
is,
attrition
this
data,
data
I
was
used
month-wise, or
And
did you look at certain years, number of years? What kind of data when I'm saying, if you
so
just
I
say downloaded data, KK, that's an indicator for you that did he just do month-wise just 1 year, or did he, if you want to analyze trends, when I'm looking at attrition, I can look at month to year length, 1 year may, in all the months, what is the kind of an attrition, okay? And or if I want to look at trends, and because I want to do predictive analytics, then I can also take 3 or 4 years data, which will tell me that, hey, during this particular season, no, when I'm actually doing that line graph, every year there is a either there is high attrition. So that indicates that, hey, these months, every year, I can predict this amount of attrition. So I want to go to that depth of attrition, whether he has done all that. Okay. So you have to keep exploring, probing further and further. Yes, Nishant, coming back, because I'm trying to just explain also how you
yes.
go. Yeah. Then, Okay. So
So
what did
I
you do with the
downloaded data
data?
for the last
Yeah.
1 year,
Hmm. Okay. Hmm.
of two last 1 year, and I
Hmm.
compared it with the data of the previous 2 financial years to get
Okay.
more insight about the attrition, what happened. So then
Okay.
I realized the
So when
attrition
you
at
say
this base
attrition, what
level of
happened, One second. So when you say attrition, what happened, Nishant? So you
Yes.
downloaded so month wise with the previous years you have got away. So did you go about even analyzing at what at across all levels and how did you go about analysis? You just looked at headcounts in general
N-
or
No,
otherwise?
no.
Yeah. Hmm.
We did it department wise, tenure wise, and
Okay.
position wise.
Department.
So
Got it. Huh. So
department,
now you are
we
telling me
did the
department wise, position
broker.
wise, tenure wise, right? So what was the
Yes.
role you played in this, Nishant?
Yeah. So
Because,
I only
huh.
downloaded the data, and then I made the comparative of
Okay.
all these position wise data, tenure wise data, different
Okay.
three sheets I made, plus also
Okay.
reason wise data, whether what
Okay.
was the reason for leaving.
Right.
So then
Right.
I prepared it. Then I made a small summary PowerPoint presentation with the summary of where are our pain points. So where attrition is less, I don't need to project it because that was not
Mm-hmm.
my pain point. So
Mm-hmm.
wherever I had a difficulty and that was impacting my operations. So that
Okay.
is what I projected in the presentation. So
Okay.
then we understood that the people newly joined who have spent less than 6 months in the organization, the major
Mm-hmm.
attrition we were facing at that level. So that
Okay.
this
Now,
entire
can I
analysis was done
interrupt
by me.
for some time? Can I? Yeah. So having stated that, I wanted to know from you that when you made this attrition analysis data department and tenuity and reason wise, so did you look at high attrition? What else did you do with the high attrition? Did you analyze further with the high attrition in terms of voluntary attrition, involuntary attrition, because attrition
Yeah,
happens
yeah,
two
yes,
reasons.
ma'am.
Uh,
When we did reason wise, then we saw
mm,
that
uh,
uh, the people who are moving to the competition, that also we observed, and with
right.
medical concerns also that we addressed.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Good. Good. Yeah. To some extent, one could see what happens typically in attrition, KK, and for others also. So typically more of the technical skills, but when we look at a high attrition, we say, hey, high attrition, but we also need to look at voluntary and involuntary. I hope I'm sure all of you know that,
Yes, yes.
underperformers, okay, and the people whom we sack and all that. So those kind of attrition we are really not concerned. The attrition we are concerned about is high performers, good performers who are leaving within 6 months to 1 year, then 1 to 2 3 years, or 3 to 4 years. A further analysis is also looked upon in terms of under which bosses are these people leaving, because let me tell you, research also shows that you know people leave not because of the
Both.
organization but because of the bosses. So we see that, hey, under which leader or under which manager is there is high attrition. That also gives us a great insight into the leadership or the supervision. Like under a TM, there are a lot of people who are leaving. We have to find out why. Hey, no, the real reason is
Yes,
the TM, not the people who are leaving. Correct? Yeah.
yes, yes, ma'am.
Good work, Nishant. Huh? At least you have
Yes,
applied all
yeah.
your analytics course skills here.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That we are doing
Yeah.
actually. We are really doing. Practically,
In
we are
fact,
doing. Yes.
I wanted to show you. I can send it like that because I wanted to show you for all of you. Even it will help KK, but Nishant already knows about it. So when we do this interviewing, etc., you can actually look at data saying that, hey, interviewers are interviewing a lot of candidates. No, so when you interview candidates, you get certain rating, which is called what? Rating of the interviewer, right? Interview rating.
Yes.
But the same candidates can, after 6 months, you will also have what? When they are on the job, when they are on the shop floor, or when they go to the vertical process, they're also working and they get performance rating, right? So what do you have?
Yes.
You have interview rating, you also have performance rating. Now, what I can do, many a times what happens, you lose out your good people because of bad interviewers. Recruiter is doing a job, sourcing, screening, selecting everything. But because of the bad interviewer, you are losing out your good hire. So now you can see that using analytics like correlation, typically we call it as Spearman's correlation ranking, you can actually do correlation and see whose correlation is high and whose correlation is low. For example, what I say is, if there's a high correlation between interviewer rating and performance rating, what does it mean? That means he's a good interviewer.
Good
What
interview.
correlation means? If one thing is going up, the other thing is also going up. High interview rating, high performance rating, high correlation, that means. No? But bad interviewer, you have a good ratings and all that stuff, but it's not correlating with performance ratings. Are you with me? So you can do
Yes,
in
sir.
your organization's correlation, which will give you sufficient. I always tell after an interviewer's training to all my clients, please collect data and see, do a correlation. Then you will know whether these guys interviewers are good interviewers or they need some training. This is called Spearman's ranking. Okay. And interesting. And there's just an Excel sheet to show you that. And maybe Vilma can show it, or I can also send a small Excel data. Okay. Now, quickly, we have 10 minutes and we will be focused. I will show you a small exercise because all these guys are traveling. Poor burden is on Paul and KK. You need to get a medal for that. Definitely, you
Yes.
need to get a medal. Huh? What
Oh,
kind
yes,
of a
yes,
medal?
ma'am.
Vilma will decide. Okay. For your cooperation, for your motivation, for your enthusiasm. I will ask you to just only one. I want you all to just use. Yeah. Both of you now, you are not an interviewer, not an interviewee. Okay. Just think of a critical incident in your mind, and for HR business partner, which you all did, you all also have put four or three competencies. You also have indicators for that. Just put that there, and based on your responses here of star, then you can do the rating here. Okay. You can just do the rating. Very easy. I'm only asking for one competency, not more. And you have all that. And take the easiest, so that this is only to get a sense of understanding. Sense of understanding, so that when you go back, or alternatively, you can do this as a homework and we can use this 10 minutes or 15 minutes for Q&A. Which will you prefer? I want to reiterate, clarify. This is the STAR method. What you need to do, just one critical incident, put it as situation between both of you. Task, right there, action, result. Then use a rating scale and then put your rating scale. Does it, far exceed or meet or below? Now, when you put this thing, you have to use your own behavioral indicators saying that is he at 1 or is he at 2 or is he at 3? Okay. Only one competency. One competency. Competency by itself cannot be rated. Competency has to be translated into BI, which is called behavioral indicators, to assess them, because they are the ones which give you the evidence. Okay, guys? Like, for example, I can say KK and Paul have this competency of what? Can I say? What competency are you exhibiting? I can see what behavior highly motivate. I won't say motivation. Asking questions, paying attention. I can see your body language. I can see you involved. I can see you interacting. What does that mean? Can you conclude? This is all behavior you are exhibiting, demonstrating what I can see. Now, can you conclude the outcome? What does it mean?
So when someone is participating, so then that the learning will
Participating
be.
is an action, behavior.
Hmm.
Raising question is a behavior. Watching, taking part, everything. So it is resulting into what?
Learning.
Learning. Absolutely. But by just saying KK is a good learner, but what does he do to be a good learner? Or he has good interest in learning. What does he do to show his learning? He will ask questions, he will take part, he will discuss. Got it? I'm just connecting the dots for you. All right? Yeah. So just very simple. One star frame I want you all to do, both of you. You can use your thing.
All right. Okay. So the situation. So now we got to come up with the situation. So
No, no.
what
You
competency are we?
first conversation is which of those
Competency.
competencies which you have worked in HRBP will you take? Take only
So
one because you have the competency which has been also translated into BIs.
Yeah, we have to now we have to rate on the behavior indicators, right?
behavior, the competency. Then we have to think of
Take
a
only
star
one
question.
competency. Take only one competency.
Take
You
a
can
very
take delegation
Mm.
or you delegation is the most easiest one.
Yeah, take that.
Delegating, right?
Mm.
Most easiest one.
Oh.
Now create a star kind of an experience. Ask by asking, yeah. And the rating is already there. Basic, intermediate, advanced can be 1, 2, 3.
Likewise.
Yeah, STA, action, result.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Great. So between both of you, think of a situation, I mean, an incident, and write that. Then we'll help you to actually then place you in that rating where. So between both of you, you can think of one. Delegation. Maybe more from the KK's perspective.
Equation. Okay. So this will be
Can I
an
interrupt?
event
KK, can I
interview
interrupt just for
question.
your KK, can I interrupt just for your understanding?
Yeah,
This,
yeah,
whatever you have written, basic level, intermediate level, advanced level, these are your reference points for behavior indicators. Okay. Means at a basic, this at an intermediate. Okay. But now you have to look at an absolute, a situation. You have to write a situation and then take this as a reference point and place it. Okay. Yeah, this situation, no, it's and the entire critical incident is here. Okay. Yeah. So just think of a situation.
So with the so let's say for intermediate level perspective, huh? When someone has to delegate job to his team
No,
with
you don't have to look at situations at a basic level perspective, at an intermediate level. No, you look at a situation in the context of your job, any situation which is a critical incident, and just narrate that situation 3 or 4 lines. Got it? Got it? Say, for example, you can say, Paul can say, okay, tell me a time when you had to delegate a very important project, okay, and where there was a stiff deadline. There was a very stiff deadline. Now,
Okay.
what was the situation? Kya tha? How critical was it? Customer behave tha? You can write 2, 3 lines. Then, how did you all go about? Okay, that situation and task are almost, they interchangeable. Then, action. What did you all do? And what happened? Okay. then if you can think of a real one, nothing like it. Then that could be then analyzed and put into whether it was at a basic level or an intermediate level or an advanced. The indicators are showing what? Basic level. Because if the action is showing delegate job to his team with full clarity, or delegate job to his team with full clarity of expectations and guides them to, or if it is saying delegate job to his team with full clarity expectations, guides them and even helps them to achieve the results. So based on what you did in the action, I can go back and categorize it. Are you now getting me what I did? Based on your action, I will go back and then see where you are at basic or at intermediate or at advanced. Is that clear, KK and Paul? You are not looking at situations independently at basic level or intermediate. No, these are only your templates. You will look at your action and say, was he at this level or this level or this level? Got it?
Yeah.
For clarity, Kaushal and Paul, shall I give you an example?
Yeah,
Right.
please.
For example, here the competency to be assessed was delegation, right? So the situation has to be that how, as a manager or a leader, you delegated the task and what you did, what was the situation, what you did, what was the action, and what was the result. So here the situation was that internet connection was to be set up, a new internet lease line connection. And it was to be done in 3 to 4 days. It was Wednesday because there was a high-level meeting to be organized on Sunday at the location where there was no internet, right? So the internet was to be set up on Wednesday. So the situation was this, that we should have an active internet connection on Sunday. So this was the situation. So the task as a leader was to ensure that the entire lease line setup was done by coordinating with the Airtel team. So a request was sent to the Airtel department, the lease line Airtel department, to ask for setting up a lease line and get the approval and submit all the documents required for completing the setup process. That was done, which took 1 day. The second day, they sent the engineering team and the testing team to see the feasibility of the location and how much wiring is to be required and what kind of routers are to be required to do the setup. That was done on second day. On the third day, the another engineering team came and did the setup and did the testing, and they started the internet lease line and they marked that, okay, the status is done. So by Saturday, we had the work done. So to do the task, I coordinated with the Airtel team. I asked my computer setup, my IT team to be available there at the time when the Airtel team was doing the setup to ensure that all the systems and all the computers are working and the systems are in place and it is up running. So that was the action taken. And the result was that we were able to do the setup and get the meeting done on Sunday with full effective 100% runtime of the internet. Right? Got it?
Correct. Correct.
So
To
yeah.
add one more point. We were talking about critical incident. Now, this incident is not everyday stuff. It is a very specific and impactful one. So
Correct.
you can't just
Correct.
say, how I had to do a connection and this is the incident I'm doing. No, this is a very impactful one where you had to do a lot of planning, coordination, collaboration. Time was sensitive enough. There could be a lot of troubleshooting, confirming whether the connectivity is getting done or not. So this is what. So I as a leader or I as a person, how did I do? What did I do? So there's, you describe the situation, the task, and all the actions. So action means behavior, words, and result. Result can be positive or negative. I'm not concerned. But what did you do is more important. Okay? Yeah. All for you. Go for it.
Okay.
Oh, thank you so much, Vilma.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vilma. Thank you. It was
Thanks.
a good help, actually. So I should write the thing on the same competency, right?
Anything, yeah. Small situation, positive wala. High.
जो आपके दिमाग में आ रहा है, wherein
High impact.
delegated.
दिमाग में जो भी आता है, हाँ.
दिमाग में तो नहीं आ रहा कुछ।
परफॉर्मेंस अब ऐसा करो, आप ले लो, लाइक यू नो, ऑर्गेनाइजिंग
सिंपल,
परफॉर्मेंस,
एक सिचुएशन देता हूँ मैं,
कोई
I'll tell
कोई
you.
कोई मीटिंग ऑर्गेनाइज करना है।
नहीं, I'll tell you, मीटिंग के बदले में के HR हेड, हाँ, अप्रेजल टाइम आ गया, एनुअल
अप्रेजल
इंक्रीमेंट
करो,
टाइम आ
हाँ
गया, बट
हाँ।
प्रोसेस कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ, and there's a huge backload. Now how is he going to delegate it to his team, who also don't understand performance management process so much? So that means what, they have to collect all the ratings from all the departments, and ensure that it is collected, then evaluated, assessed, and ready for increments. So how will he delegate? That's a very critical task, है ना? Delegation उसमें.
ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक है। Now, much
मैंने एक
clear.
lead दिया उसमें. These people don't know. So what will they do?
You have 2 people in your team, हाँ।
हम्म, ठीक है। ठीक है।
Deadline for appraisal is very close. The tutor is not fully prepared to.
One second. This is the situation.
Yeah, the situation is also critical because this appraisal data is linked to the increments data, isn't it?
Hmm.
Huh?
Hmm.
ठीक है. So that's why it's more critical. No? Yeah.
इनफैक्ट प्रोसेस की भी अंडरस्टैंडिंग नहीं है। जैसे बैलेंस स्कोर कार्ड पे करना है तो उनको, दे आर नॉट fully aware about the processes.
You're talking about your team? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you're delegating, now your team's capability is undermined. They don't have much. So
Yeah.
as a leader, what will you do? How will you go about delegating
Hmm.
tasks?
तो हैंड होल्ड
So
करना पड़ेगा सिचुएशन में। Even though I'm been put on some alternate different tasks, but I'll do multitasking, and I'll handhold them and in the process as well.
One. KK, you said multitasking. How much of multitasking? Like the sales manager, you'll carry all the monkeys on your shoulder. So what will you do? You will quickly in your team. They may not be performance management team. They could be recruiting team. They could be HRPP. So you will call a meeting and you will say, hey, this is the task. And you will then say, who are those? You will also look at who are your best performers in all those, people cross-functional HRBP recruiters, because this is required. Otherwise, it will have impact on release of increments, etc. And you will train them in the process quickly. You can't do, how much can you do? You will train them in the process. Also, you will take stakeholders. और कौन है? BU अगर इन लोग train भी हो गए, पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस क्या है? BU के पीछे भागो और दे विल नॉट डू द वर्क, बिकॉज उनका फोकस क्या है कि अभी टाइम अभी करते हैं, है ना? So you will also consult the BU leaders and take their cooperation, collaboration. अगर वो लोग नहीं collaborate करते हैं तो will they help you by expediting things? They will also say, okay, fine. They will put their own, TMs or TLs and all that, and they'll say, okay, we'll help you because, you need to get the data out quickly. Ratings. It's not one-sided, no? You can imagine always the situation is there. HR pushes, but then business will say, oh, there is time, we'll do. So you have to look at who are the key stakeholders. Can you then start taking all their help, like a teamwork? So there is teamwork in this before delegating, and then start delegating your own team, and then get the act. So there are various 2-3 things to be done, right?
Oh.
So write down their tasks. What all will you do? Action.
So here I'm a little confused about the task and action altogether. So here the task and action, can you differentiate between both the things here specifically? What should be the
Situation
task and what should be
seen.
the action? Because task and actions are relatively same thing here, isn't it?
No. You differentiate. What is the difference between a task and an action? The task is for a
That's okay.
recruiter closing the recruitment in 2 months, 20 positions in 2 months. That's the task.
ठीक है, fair enough. Yeah.
Got it? Action क्या करेगा? Looking at multi sources, multi this one. I will then start because मेरे पास ये task है, मुझे करना है. Got it? If you look at the job description, tasks and responsibilities, then actions are they're interchangeable. That much I can say, but definitely they are little different. Got it?
Yeah.
Could we say that then the task is that to complete the appraisal before the due date? Isn't that the task? Compile the data or complete the appraisal.
No, task was to compile the data. Simple statement. That's it.
So what about coordinate with functional head?
वो action. वो action.
Action. Yeah.
Compile the data.
Compile the data within the timeline, right?
What is the timeline? 7 days, 10 days. Put the deadline.
You can just put within 5 days or something like that.
This is the task.
So then the action would be to coordinate with the functional heads.
Something more, that data compiled, then present to BU heads. Okay.
So if this is the specific objective of compiling the data within a deadline, what are the specific steps you are taking in order to finish this task? It could be using your resources, decision making, lot of things come into play. So what are those actions which you are taking to finish this objective or
But these
specific
actions
task?
should be in the angle of delegation, right? Because we are trying to see delegation.
KKS is KK? Okay. Good. I like this point because typically what happens, how to push back when BUs are not doing something, to push back and how to ensure that they do it. So those probable challenges. We can say tracking and monitoring the progress.
ठीक है understand.
To be more a little more precise, no tracking and monitoring the process on a day-to-day basis, huh? Because here the deadline matters, so maybe you will. Okay, great. Yeah. So the result. Yeah, for their cooperation, na? For their support. To support them in the timely completion.
Fair enough.
Outcome as well as
ठीक है ना?
yeah. And if you want to make it
थोड़ा लेंदी हो गया,
crisp,
but I think yeah.
to make it crisp, you can say
Yeah.
yes. Functional heads to support in the timely completion of the process. Good. So let us just read the action, and I will tell you how KK was will. Abhi to yahan we are saying in the past because we are helping. Conducted meetings. Okay, with his team members. Identifying the person who is competent as well as
I made it larger.
as well as interested for this assignment, as well as because obviously interest assignment nahi to karenge, will lead the entire project while involving the team members. So he's saying involving the team members. KK explained him the process, explained the group the process and desired outcomes as well as the timelines. Okay. Also appraising probable challenges he may face while interacting with DU heads. Will also kept tracking and monitoring progress on a day-to-day basis and giving guidance. Shall keep also interacting with respective BU heads to support and help the task completion on time. Therefore, just to complete one, how many things you have to do, right? Good one, good work. So the result was what? Completion of the process on time.
Correct.
Yeah, I think it clearly amplifies. Now you are able to very clearly see the difference between a task and the action.
Perfect. True.
The steps taken to complete a specific task. There could be many more tasks also in a critical incident, but here we have taken just one task and we have taken what would be the actions. Okay, guys, wonderful, very nice.
Wonderful.
So, but yeah. So maybe you can do this because one aspect of it we did. We could also do more of it. All right.
I purposely choose that exercise to be done right now because these are really, impactful things.
You have to, there is a way to write. Otherwise, and the more you write, you will get, the more you practice BEI, you will get.
Perfect.
So every organization will have these formats. You can fill them up, during interviews, and you can use them. Whether you want to make a hiring or you don't want to make a hiring offer, and it is not subjective. You have ample evidence of data to make that whether a person is below, meet, exceeds, or far exceeds. And this is a typical recruit funnel. All of you are very familiar with. Okay. Just trying to give you, these are those common things which you have. We talked about hypothetical questions, leading questions. We talked about behavioral questions, right? And while probing, sometimes you have to be very quiet, silent probe, it's called. You also have to encourage people. Okay, then what happened? Think of the grandmother who used to tell a story, right? Storytelling. So BEI is almost like a story. You can't rush it up. So jaldi jaldi bolo. No, you can't do that. The person will take pace and tell, listen to him, be with him. Otherwise, and you have to watch his body language. Because you may say, what if a person will just fake up, say stories, right? It may not be a true story. How will you make up? Do you know that a person, what he speaks is what? How much? Body language says it all. So if he's talking about 2 or 3 incidents, you observe him very carefully. The way he's, his eye contact, the way he nods, the way his posture is, you can make out whether it was a true story or whether it is faking, right? When it's not a true story, you will make out that his eyes are shifting. Huh? If you see he'll be doing something or the other, you can make out. So watch, observe. What is he doing? What is his body language? So the body language says it all. And also when he's continuously telling you stories, you can make out, hey, at this point of time he said something and then again something. There's no consistency in what he's saying. Then you can make out. That's why recording or observing in today's times, typically you take a permission and record it, because thereafter you can hear it out very well. And now you have a software which will also give you a transcript of the recording, and easily you can see, because sometimes what happens, people talk differently, you can't catch everything and you want to do justice. Okay. Yep. Yeah. So guys, that's all we have for today. And yes, any questions? Then we can close the session.
Ma'am, can you quickly touch upon this bars thing? Maybe 5-10 minutes, no?
Sure, sure. But tell me exactly what do you want to know about the bars? I mean, what is it? Sorry,
No,
sorry.
don't know much about it. As you said, and I understand it's a behavior anchoring rating scale. So how to rate those behaviors and how to put them on the format or compile them. So I have never
I
used
can
that
give,
tool
yeah. So I
precisely.
can give
So
you a
that's why.
little, sure, I will clarify, but definitely you will get an exercise to do that. First of all, so say for example, the most delegation, right? You all did recently delegation. What is delegation? It's a competency. We'll take it as a role specific competency for a role called HR business partner. Are you very clear with it?
No.
HR business partner has a list of 4 to 5 competencies, and delegation is one role specific competency which the person requires if it is important. Okay. Now, when I say delegation, I need certain indicators. Indicators are what? Behavior indicators means what is that I can observe in a person to say that this delegation is there. That's the first basic thing. So, we have to define what is delegation. Just a one line or two liner in terms of a behavior. How does delegation do? That's the first step if you are wanting to do something in the area of delegation. Now, second thing, what is that? Then you will say, hey, now in this role, delegation is important. But how will I know? How will I assign a bar behaviorally anchored rating scale? Rating scale is 1 to 3, 1 to 5. But how will I assign a behavior to a rating scale? I will know by, typically it is very important, validating. In my department, HRPP, I'll take based on the performance records, who is a top performer. Okay. And I will also look at an average performer. I'll go to the top performer. I'll also go to the BU and say, hey, in your opinion, okay, I'll ask typically, how many times do you have to delegate? What are the things you delegate? How do you go about delegating? Are you with me? How do you go about delegating? Okay, can you give me or describe a situation where you had to delegate something very critical? And the person will talk about. The superior performer will give you a situation, will give you a task, will give you an action, and action, keep it. Now go to an average performer. You say, hey, this, what are the things you have to delegate? Do you have to delegate? And what are the things you delegate? And give me a situation where you had to delegate and what is that you did about it. Person will tell you something. You will see the action of the person who was a superior performer that is different as in compared to the action of the average performer. So your superior performer, 1 or 2, that becomes your what? Rating scale high, 5. And poor performer का बन जाता है बिल्कुल one. So I can't just cut paste. I have to validate. Going through you, why do we say competencies are contextual? Because manufacturing में delegation कुछ और होगा, IT में कुछ और होगा, role specific है. So you have to check. Today you have the what is it inputs of repositories. If you open the internet, you can get, but that can be your basis. You don't have to work from ground zero. That can be a basis, but validate with your PU heads, with the superior performers and poor performers, and then create your bar. Because every day you're not going to create bar. You're going to create bar. Unless and until the role has updated, you don't create the bar every day. Okay? Have you got a small, some understanding now, KK?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
Okay.
that.
Any question, Paul?
I think that will be better if we practice also sometimes. So I'll try to do it at my
No,
own.
no, no. Vilma is going to give you a project which you will
Sure.
have to do in your own organization, which you have to map, which you have to do. उससे क्या होता है? It reinforces your learning. And now if you do it for many more positions, 10 position level, then perfect. Nobody comes perfect. No?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The more you do, the more you get. Thank you, guys. Okay. Wonderful and lovely to, interact with all of you. And it was wonderful going through all these four sessions. Okay. Feel free either with Vilma or with me. If you want any support, any clarification, we're always there to handhold you and support you. Good luck.